Hey guys, Aksu here. Today's video I'm going to talk about how to build your first ornithopter, which is the Scout MK4. This is definitely a heavy duty craft. You're going to need to acquire lots of materials, and then of course you're also going to need the equipment for harvesting and refining all those materials. Let's get started. I guess the first thing to understand is that the Scout Ornithopter MK4 is an aluminum tier craft. So that means that you're going to need 300 intel points spent in order to even research the schematic. Once you have researched the schematic, here's all the components, and remember, we're actually going to need 4 wing assemblies. Very similar to the sandbike where you need 3 treads, the ornithopter uses 4 wings. While just the sheer quantity of materials and water that you're going to need is very high, the thing that really stood out for me here is that there's new materials, at least that I hadn't encountered before. I'm going to need aluminum ingots, I'm going to need diamondine dust, carbide scraps, industrial pumps. And here I've just summarized all the material you're going to need, and this is only for the actual ornithopter crafting itself. Here we just have a breakdown showing that the aluminum ingots require a lot of aluminum ore before you refine that, and then the cobalt paste requires a lot of erythrite crystals. There are other investments that you need to make in order to support your craft of the ornithopter. First of all, I needed to build a survival fabricator. At that crafting station I was able to build the Cutter-Ray MK3, which was needed to harvest the aluminum ore. I also needed to build a medium ore refinery so that I could refine the aluminum ore into aluminum ingots. And then finally, you're going to need the vehicle fabricator for actually making the ornithopter parts. And of course, that's going to take a lot of material as well. Some new items here, we're going to need a lot of steel ingots, which means iron ore and carbon ore. And then there's a new item called a ray amplifier. And then it just adds a lot more cobalt paste and complex machinery that we're going to need as well. And then most likely you already have the small chemical refinery, but you're going to need that for the cobalt paste. And it really is a lot of cobalt paste when you combine the ornithopter and the support crafts you're going to have to do, so you want to keep that in mind when you're out there mining the erythrite crystal. Okay, let's discuss where in the world you can find all these materials. As the ornithopter is a more advanced vehicle in the game, we're also going to have to get those materials from more advanced areas within Haga Basin. Let's start with reviewing some of the basic materials that you've probably already encountered in your playthrough. For the advanced servox and particle capacitors, you're going to find those in the imperial testing stations, and you can find those throughout Haga Basin. The complex machinery is found in the ironworks. These are the tall buildings that look like old industrial plants, and those are throughout Vermilius Gap, both east and west. The armor plating I get mostly off of the heavy troopers with the machine guns that are shooting at you. A more efficient location would be come over to Haga Rift, and you'll see burnt out buggies all over the place, and when you salvage those you can get a lot of armor plating. While you're in Haga Rift, I recommend going to the mineral extraction facilities. That's where you're going to find those ray amplifiers for your Cutter-Ray MK3, as well as the erythrite ore in and around those facilities that you're going to need for your cobalt paste. Once you have 5 ray amplifiers and you've built your survival fabricator, then you can build your Cutter-Ray MK3, and that means you can start harvesting aluminum ore. So yeah, I actually found all my aluminum ore over in the shield wall area. From the main desert, there's an entry point right here, and you'll start to see aluminum ore, and I found it really all over the place. And while you're out harvesting aluminum, you can also visit Sentinel City here, and this is where you can find the industrial pumps. Finally, there's 2 new materials that I had not encountered before, the diamondine dust and the carbide scraps. Just as a warning, over here on the Hand of Kadir, it says you can find diamondine dust and carbide scraps, but I did not find that to be true. I scoured through all of the encampments, and I never had any of those drop or found any in chests. For those items, I needed to go over to Mysa Tarill. Within this area, I was able to find both the carbide scraps and the diamondine dust, and you don't really need a lot of those for crafting the vehicle, so if you just make one pass through this area, you should end up with enough. I hope you're finding something helpful so far. It's that time, guys. Please help support the channel by subscribing. You can also leave a like or comment, which really does help with the algorithm. And if you happen to be interested in live gameplay, I do stream weekly on Twitch, and I really do appreciate your support. Thank you so much, guys. And finally, if you're having problems getting the industrial pumps or the carbide scraps, you can actually purchase those from a vendor here at the Crossroad Trade Post. And then, of course, if you want to spend a lot of money, you could purchase any of the materials off the player exchange in one of the main settlements. For me, that would have been too expensive, so I ended up going out and finding most of my own materials. I think the only things I purchased were the industrial pumps. And of course, it's worth mentioning that you're going to be doing a lot of refining and fabricating, and that's going to take a lot of water. So you're going to have to manage that as well, either through harvesting blood and converting that into water, or directly harvesting dew. Now you've put in tons and tons of work to get all these materials, and we're ready. Let's go to our vehicle fabricator and make the components. And now after all that work, we can finally assemble our very first ornithopter. Congratulations guys, let's take to the sky, enjoy, and I hope to see you for the next video. Thanks so much. We did it.